Greetings, adventurers! I am Archmage Kyle, level 20 wizard, and welcome to How to Play Dungeons & Dragons. In no time at all, you too will be fighting goblins, slaying gibbering mouthers, and marching your way out of the Tomb of Horrors with loot in tow. Let's begin. Now, Dungeons & Dragons is a role-playing game set in a fantastic land of sorcery, evil beasts, and ancient ruins. Now, a role-playing game is a collaborative experience in which a number of players both create and control unique characters to inhabit and interact with a world constructed by a dungeon master. Now, a dungeon master, or DM, is an essential part of any RPG group. It's the DM's job to construct the world, environment, atmosphere, characters, monsters, and ruins that the player characters, or PCs, run into on their quest. They also act as the moderator, the rule master, and are just in charge of making sure everyone has a good time. During a typical gameplay session, players will move their characters throughout the DM's land, looking up clues and hints to lead them on their way. Typical quests might include to slay a vicious beast, or find some hidden treasure, or explore forgotten lands. Now, what do you need to play? Some useful tools while playing D&D include graph paper and pencils, D&D character sheets and books, dice of all kinds, and miniatures. But really, the most important thing to bring to a game of D&D is your imagination. So how do you create a Dungeons & Dragons character? Well, you'll need a class and a race. A race is what species your character is in the Dungeons & Dragons world, and a class is a general idea of their occupation in life. For races, will you be an adaptable human, a nimble elf or half-elf, a hardy dwarf, a tricky gnome, a stealthy halfling, or a powerful half-orc? For classes, will you be a combat specialist like a fighter, monk, or rogue? Will you be a champion of the divine like a cleric or paladin? Perhaps a master of wilderness like a barbarian, ranger, or druid? Or a wielder of magic like a wizard, sorcerer, or bard? This is your Dungeons & Dragons character sheet. It keeps track of everything from your health, to your equipment, to your weapons, and anything else you need to know. Let's take a look. So up here at the top is some personal details about your character, like their name, their alignment, and over here are the attributes, how strong they are, how dexterous, how tough, how intelligent, how wise, how charismatic. Over here are the hit points and the AC, that's how tough you are, or how hard you are to hit in combat. And over here is their speed, how fast they are in moving. Over here is the touch and flat-footed AC, which are different types of ACs depending on the situation. And initiative is how fast you can act in combat. Over here are the saving throws, which is how resilient your character is against certain effects, like mind control or being poisoned. Your base attack and grapple is the basics of how you fight in combat, and it affects your weapons down here. Over here are your skills, and that can be anything from how good you are at convincing people you're a friend, or how good you are at not being seen. Now if you look at over here, on this sheet, you have your armor, and that's what kind of bonuses to your AC your armor gives you. And your shields too. And this is your equipment, where you write down everything you collect. Here are your feats, where you get special abilities as you level up. Special features too. Down here are the languages that your character speaks, and all here are their spells and magical abilities. Let's take everything you've learned into practice and take a look at some sample gameplay. You see a pair of nasty-looking goblins guarding the entrance to the cave. Both have daggers at their sides and are scanning the surroundings for intruders. What do?
I knock an arrow and prepare to attack.
And I draw my sword.
They see you and draw their weapons. Roll for initiative.
18.
9.
7 for the goblins.
I fire an arrow at the lead goblin. I rolled a 16.
That hits. Roll damage.
6 damage.
Your arrow flies true and pierces the goblin's hide, slaying it instantly. Its lifeless body slumps to the ground.
My turn. I run up to the next goblin and attack with my sword. Does a 10 hit?
Afraid not. Your sword swings just above the goblin's head, slicing through the empty air. The goblin retaliates by swinging at you with his knife. I believe a 14 hits. The knife plunges through a chink in your armor and slashes you for 3 damage.
My turn. I run over to my friend and cast a spell, Cure Light Wounds, to heal for 3 hit points.
Thanks. I try swinging my sword again. Natural 20.
Critical hit. Double damage.
16 damage.
With a mighty cleave, you behead the goblin.
Its lifeless body crumples to the floor. This battle is yours.
Think we should head into the cave?
Let's check their bodies first. They might have something useful on them. You find a mysterious key in one of their pockets. The cave ahead is dark and deep, with the flutter of bats in the rock and the smell of cold dew beckoning you into the shadows.
All in all, just remember that Dungeons & Dragons is a game about having fun and using your imagination. Go start a group of your own. Now, if you'll excuse me. I have an owl bear to hunt down. Happy questing!